Last night, University of Connecticut star guard Shabazz Napier capped off an outstanding NCAA men's Division I basketball tournament. He scored 22 points in UConn's championship game victory over the University of Kentucky. The March Madness tournament is enormously popular, and for the NCAA, enormously lucrative. TV rights for the tournament were sold in 2010 for $10.8 billion, yes, $billion over 14 years. That's just one piece of the pie. There's also deals with sponsors like the ladder manufacturer and clothing company on display in this picture of Connecticut guard Ryan Boatwright cutting down the net just last night, along with ticket sales, profits from selling replicas of the players' jerseys, conference TV deals, and all the other revenue sources attached to big-time college sports. That money has made a lot of folks rich, and it's not like the situation's confined to the private sector here. All four schools in this year's Final Four were public universities. Big-name coaches can make more than the university president. Take a look at this map from last year showing the highest-paid public employee in the vast majority of states is a football or basketball coach. In fact, the losing coach in last night's game, Kentucky's John Calipari, is being paid more than $5 million this year. And had his team won last night, he would have earned a bonus of $375,000. Without the players, of course, none of this would be at all possible. One study last year found that the average men's basketball player in a top-tier program would have, economically speaking, a fair market value of over $1 million over 4 years. And so Shabazz Napier, the star of this year's NCAA tournament, well, he'd probably be worth a lot more than that. The NCAA insists that Napier is a student athlete with an emphasis on that word student, and thus shouldn't get paid beyond that scholarship, even if it means he goes to bed hungry.
Well, definitely best to get a scholarship to our universities, but at the end of the day, that doesn't cover everything. You know, we do have hungry nights that we don't have enough money to get food, and sometimes, you know, needed money. But when you see a jersey getting sold, things like that, you know, to some credit, you feel like you want something in return.
UConn had to respond to the idea that its players are hungry, and they said in a statement to the Connecticut Mirror that Napier is provided food through a meal plan. We should note, however, the dining hall does close around 7 p.m. Napier says that while he doesn't support some kind of big paycheck system for players, he does back the effort by Northwestern University football players to form a union that fights ground in the idea that players are employees working long hours for little compensation. Short of paying college athletes, an idea that's gained a lot of traction over the past year would be to at least have greater brain trauma protections, increase scholarship money to cover full costs of attendance, cover long-term medical expenses, and guarantee scholarships won't be eliminated year by year. The NCAA, meanwhile, staunchly opposes the effort to unionize players, as well as any idea around paying them. In a statement just last month, it said, the players participate to enhance their overall college experience and for the love of their sport, not to be paid. Easy to say, adding that while improvements need to be made, we do not need to completely throw away a system that's helped literally millions of students over the past decade alone attend college. Joining us now is former NBA player Etan Thomas. He also played basketball for Syracuse University and is the author of More Than an Athlete, Poems by Etan Thomas. Paul Hewitt, the head men's basketball coach at George Mason University, and Dave Zirin, sports correspondent for The Nation. Welcome to you all. Paul, let me start with you as a coach. What do you think about star players saying they're literally hungry despite the way these programs work?
Well, that's obviously disappointing. I think if you polled most coaches, they would tell you it is time to go beyond just the room, board, book, tuition, and fees. I think it's time to go to cost of attendance and maybe some other stipends is beyond time. But unfortunately, what you have is, much like what we have in Congress, you have 5 power conferences who want to see that system put in place. And actually, in fall of 2011, there was a vote to allow to give a $2,000 stipend to all student athletes. In January of 2012, however, that idea was tabled. And a quirky thing happened in the following year. The 2012-2013 season, I actually had a young man on my team who signed in the early signing period who got a $2,000 stipend. The kids who signed in the late signing period, April of 2012, did not. You have a dysfunction between the power conferences and the smaller conferences. The smaller conferences don't feel they can afford to give that stipend. The power conferences want to give it. Steve Spurrier, the football coach in South Carolina, actually came out at his SEC Media Day last August and said the coaches voted unanimously to do that. So you have a mix here that obviously has produced a dead end.
Etan, when you look at this and you look at the way we treat these athletes, I mean, they're put on a pedestal. Many of them become super famous. Some of them will have opportunities later. And yet it seems like increasingly they are voicing a feeling of a real mistreatment and oppression within this system.
Well, I mean, once you look at the actual numbers, then you realize that you're being exploited. You know, Bill Maher recently tweeted a few weeks ago. He said that the March Madness is a stern reminder of what this nation was founded on, making tons of money off of the labor of unpaid black people. Now, you know, that might be a little bit of a strong analogy, and there are definitely parallels. And of course, you know, the student athletes are not forced against their will and are not beaten and raped and pillaged and things like that. So I think a better example would be more when a company goes into an economically underdeveloped country and sets up a factory there and then pays the workers pennies while they make millions. And then tells them that, you know, we're doing this to give you a tremendous opportunity that you wouldn't normally have. And just focus on that opportunity. Don't worry about the millions that we're making, but just focus on that tremendous opportunity that we're giving you. And that's pretty much what the colleges are doing. You know, they tell them to value the education. You know, focus on education. We're going to inundate you with knowledge and give you an opportunity that you would never have. But you're looking at your jersey being sold, and you're looking at the ticket sales and the revenue that are going through the roof, and you're looking at the fact that TNT and CBS just split $1 billion for March Madness alone last year. And you're looking at all this money, and you're like, wait a minute, the numbers aren't adding up.
Yeah, and you talk about that from the racial context, the disparities there, as well as the labor context, which is how much do we trust employers to tell us what's best for their employees without any rules or anybody watching. I want to go to Dave on this. We're going to take a break, bring Dave in, and continue this conversation. So stay with us, everybody.